What's good, guys? A few weeks back, I put out a video. I called it the top 10 things that YBA will not fix or won't fix. Regardless of what it was called, that video I think was pretty well done. I documented a whole bunch of different things that I don't think that the developers are going to fix, and I still don't think the developers are going to fix it. But what I didn't expect was that people would give me mountains upon mountains of other things that YBA isn't going to fix. So rather than putting all of those things to waste, I thought it would be a better idea to go through, try to figure out some of the things I missed, some of the stuff from the comments, you know, those kinds of things. And there was more than I thought. So initially I was gonna have 10 more things that YBA won't fix, and it doubled that. It's up to 20. So here we are. Here's another 20 things that YBA is not going to fix and will add skins instead. Let's kick things off. We're gonna be starting off very strong with number 20, which is time stop resistance. Time stop resistance in YBA is sort of an anomaly to me. And I think that's mostly because the actual hard numbers of how it works are not displayed anywhere in the game. The closest we get is the first time stop resistance node, which already as shown gives you 3 seconds of time stop resistance. But as you can see, even that tooltip is clearly a lie, as you only get 2 seconds of time stop resistance with the time stop resistance node. Now the thing that a lot of people know about at this point, so it shouldn't be news to most of you, is that it turns out that if you have more upgrades into your time stop, it makes your time stop resistance longer. But exactly how this works is really hard to determine against all the different time stops in the game. And to hit that point home, I'm gonna show you some examples. This is what happens when you have the maxed out time stop for Starpot in the World versus the World Over Heaven's maxed out time stop. This is what happens when you have maxed out time stop versus the World Over Heaven's level 1 time stop. And this is what happens when you have only time stop resistance versus the World Over Heaven's level 1 time stop. I think you're starting to see the problem here, and that's that the time stop resistance in this game is seemingly completely random across the board and varies based on so many different factors that it is impossible to ever know what the effect of your time stop is going to have on other players. There's just no way to tell, and it makes no sense. If you're running the World Over Heaven, you could time stop one Starpot in the world and they could walk through the entire thing, while one person who's right next to them stops after 2 seconds. And then another guy moves for 3 seconds and then stops. Overall, the point being, time stop resistance should not matter, and it should be 2 seconds across the board with everything. 2 seconds is plenty of time to try to get out of dodge if you're getting time stopped, but it also gives the time stopper a chance to actually do something, whereas the time stopped can't just dip 1,000 miles away. Even if that stupid moon gravity doesn't go anywhere, time stop resistance needs to be uniform because this is ridiculous. At number 19, we have Killer Queen's bombs versus your computer's frame rate. Unfortunately, because of my overkill PC for Roblox, I don't have footage of this. But what I can tell you is that I get reports over and over and over, as well as tons of in-game chat messages complaining about the absurd lag that's caused by the effects of Killer Queen's bomb explosions. I think the main problem here is that there's no way around these explosions lagging your computer, and that's because the low graphics option does absolutely nothing to the explosions. Even if you're playing on low graphics, they're exactly the same, and they're still gonna lag people's computers. I pity all the people that play on low-end machines that have to go up against this in 1v1s because it's probably just unplayable. You get blown up once, or they just explode a bomb anywhere, start lagging around, and that has gotta suck. Number 18 is umbrellas stopping vampires from being able to M1. Last time around, I took a big dumpster on Vampire because we talked about Vampire subspecs and how those are complete BS. But this time around, we're throwing Vampire a bone because the fact that you can't use M1s while holding out an umbrella is maybe the dumbest thing in this entire game, and there are a lot of dumb things in this game. Seriously, what exactly was the logic that made it so that you can't use M1s while holding an umbrella? Because all it does is make the vampire spec in Steel Ball Run and main game outright useless and barely used. Vampire's not a bad spec, and you see it a decent chunk in 1v1s and 2v2s, because in that mode, the sun doesn't kill you, so you don't even need an umbrella. So why is it that you can use the spec fine in 1v1s and 2v2s, but the second you go out of those modes, you have to use an umbrella, which locks a ton of your damage because you can't M1. If your stand can throw a heavy punch, it can M1. This is stupid. Number 17 is anti-cheat. Does this even really need an introduction? And do I really need to talk about it? Because I literally made an entire video about the anti-cheat. People were surprised that it wasn't in the last one, so here it is. YBA is not going to fix their anti-cheat. People are going to continue to get on leaderboard on Steel Ball Run by hacking. And yes, I beat this guy that was cheating in 1v1s. Moving on. Number 16 is D4C versus vampires. Yeah, they patched the fact that if you kill your own clones, you get blood, but they didn't patch the fact that if other people kill your clones, they get blood. The takeaway here is, if you're playing Vampire and you're versing a D4C, you win. That's it. The game is over. You can't use any of your clone moves or they regain basically all of their health. I don't have footage of it, but I fought a Star Platinum that I thought had Vamp Boxing, and it turns out I was right, because I threw clones at them and hit them about quadruple the amount of times that they hit me, and they won anyway, because they weren't taking any damage. They regained all of it by killing my clones. This is stupid, it makes D4C super unreliable, and it breaks Vamp Boxing even more. Who would have guessed? Number 15 is piloting in stun. Another long-standing YBA balancing disaster is the fact that any stand with a pilot can use that pilot during stun. Now on paper that probably doesn't sound too bad, but once you start seeing it in practice, that's where the problems arise. Because you can pilot in stun and barrage in stun, it means that you can pilot and barrage and push people back. Basically meaning that you get away with barraging first. In other words, if the enemy is starting to combo you, you have an automatic for free combo escape just because you pressed a single button. It's impeccably stupid that this has been in the game for so long, and it totally ruins certain stand matchups because stands like Silver Chariot Requiem are all but invincible because of this technique and the rest of their move kit. Piloting and stun is hella dumb and should not exist. End of story. Number 14 is GER's RTZ cutscene. Conclusive proof that the YBA team does not care about Gold Experience Requiem. You see that? Yeah, that's the old model. The model for GER was changed 9 months ago. 9 months. Not only that, but I had a skin equipped. Also not there. They also forgot to put the voice lines back in. I don't even know why I'm surprised anymore. Number 13 is ridiculous counter startup. And you know what? There's no reason for me to talk about this, because 3 months ago, I already did. So take it away, 3 months old Eclipse. The startup on the counters other than Epitaph in this game is absurd. And frankly, I almost would say that the game would have been better off if they'd left them with no startup at all. Well, you might have seen it earlier in the gameplay, but I threw out my counter against an incredibly obvious dimensional scythe, and despite that, the game still decided I got hit. But I don't think just watching this clip is enough to prove what I'm saying. So instead, I'm gonna get some receipts. Roblox, by default, runs at 60 frames per second. All of the server-side data, as far as I know, also runs at 60 frames per second. My recordings run at 60 frames per second. All of this information is important. With all that information in the back of your head, we're gonna take a look at exactly how many frames passed by before I got hit and still took damage despite using my counter. So I got hit on the 15th frame of activating my counter. So in other words, the startup frames for activating the counter before it actually takes effect is longer than 15 frames. How many exactly? I'm not sure, because it's incredibly hard to test frame-perfect reactions like that. So as much as I would love to use a move that hits on frame 16 and time it perfectly, unless we get some sort of frame-by-frame thing, that will not be happening. Regardless of that, frame 15 is the number to remember. In order to prove my point that counter startups are way too long, we're gonna take a look at another game that has counters and runs at 60 frames per second. That game is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Here's the frame data chart for all the counters in Smash Ultimate. Notice something here? Well, you might see that the longest startup for any counter is 8 frames. That's nearly half the amount that GER's counter startup frames are. Other counters in the game start as soon as frame 2. You start to see what I'm getting at here? The counter frames for GER's counter and all the other counters in the game should be anywhere from 5 to 8, not 15. 15 is ridiculous. Number 12 is the hand's quantum phasing technology. If you've ever wanted to give physics the middle finger, then pick up the hand in YBA. I've gone on record in the past saying that the hand's ability turns you into Casper the Friendly F***ing Ghost, and guess what? That still stands to this day. Who's surprised? Well, nobody. That's who. If you take the hand, you can erasure accelerate yourself directly through f***ing buildings. What? Yeah, and it's been like that literally forever. And this isn't like a, oh my god, that was literally so cool. No, as in literally, you've never not been able to phase through walls. Are you serious? There is absolutely nothing more to be said here. This is fucked. At number 11, we have Gold Experience's Blockable Beatdown. People always laugh at Gold Experience's Beatdown because they say it does no damage. But this is actually not true. Gold Experience's Beatdown does over 50 damage, which may not sound like much when you think about all these crazy combos people are doing, but you do have to consider that this is a single move that you're landing that's doing 50 damage. That's not bad at all. What is bad is the fact that you can take away 36 of this over 50 damage by just holding F. Yeah, what the fuck? Now, the really crazy part about this is I actually reported this a long time ago. And hopefully I'm not breaking any sort of confidential agreements or don't betray anyone's trust here. But from the telephone game that I played with Uzu and the person that I was talking about, I was told that Uzu said that he likely wouldn't fix it because if you block it, you get block broken anyway, and so you're still gonna get punished. Are you fucking kidding me? Not only is that total bullshit because Gold Experience doesn't have any moves that do anywhere close to 36 damage, but also the move just straight up doesn't fucking work. You'd think that that'd be a priority. You'd think it'd be an easy fix, or at least a somewhat easy fix, since no other beatdown has this problem, but here we are. It doesn't work, and they're not going to fix it. Straight from the horse's mouth. That's fucked up. Number 10 is Scary Monster's Minion instantly dying. If you've played YBA for any amount of time, you might not know that Scary Monster's Minion actually has a health bar. Yeah, that's right. If you hit it enough, it'll actually die. Not only that, but it has an upgrade that gives it more health. But none of that matters, because if you hit it with any attack that ragdolls, regardless of damage, it instantly dies. Immediate. It's just dead. Now, that kind of defeats the entire purpose of that whole extra health thing if it dies in one hit, huh? It's not even like it has a ton of health. It has a decent amount of health and would provide an okay distraction if it didn't instantly die. But here we are. You hit it with a single knockdown, and it's dead. That's the end of it. Good night, sweet prince. But as it turns out, that's actually not the end of it. Number 10.5, the Scary Monster's Softlock. So as it turns out, I actually removed this from the original video because I thought they patched it. I then played a little bit of Scary Monsters and, well, yeah, no, they didn't. Shocking. As it goes, if you get ragdolled at the end of a time stop while playing Scary Monsters, you're done. You can't play anymore. That's a wrap. Enjoy. The only thing you can do in this state is desummon your stand and look at your depressing body as it sits there waiting to commit suicide because that's the only way you're coming back. You're completely invincible. There's nothing you can do. That's awesome. Number 9 is randomly stopping in time stop. Now this is one I briefly mentioned in the last video when I was talking about rage time stops. The idea here is when you time stop and you're moving around and doing attacks, at some point during it you will just stop dead in your tracks and cease whatever you were doing for seemingly no reason at all. Now the reason that this actually happened is up for debate, but I'm almost 99% sure that I know why. The idea was Uzu was trying to make it so you couldn't combo off of time stop by making it so that you jarringly stopped at the end of it so you couldn't hit the opponent. Now if you ask me, this is probably the absolute worst way they could have gone about this, but hey, at least they tried, right? Right? Well, when your trying ends up breaking things even more and making the gameplay feel more stiff, you failed. You should just revert it immediately, but they didn't do that, and so it's been here for months. Now this stopping of your character isn't just a stop, it's a stun. You get stunned for a second during your own time stop. This stun is enough to cancel moves that you could be using in the middle of your time stop. You looking at this? And my smite is gone. It got deleted because I got stunned. By nothing. Welcome to YBA. Number 8 is Mr. President Vampire. I'm gonna be honest here, I think this clip just speaks for itself. Yeah, do you really need to see any more than that? At number 7, we have Endless Reality Overwrite. The most common glitch on the entire planet because there's literally no reason to do it, and most people don't even do it on purpose. If you time stop with the World Over Heaven and use Reality Overwrite right as it's ending in order to make sure that you actually get the effects of the punch applied to the player, the victim's limb will come back and their proportions stay the same forever until they reset. That means that if their hitbox becomes absolutely massive and stupid easy to hit, it never goes back. And like I said, there's no reason not to do it, and most people are doing it, because if you use Reality Overwrite before the end of the time stop, you don't get the limb removal or the effects, so why wouldn't you wait? The glitch here is just a side effect of bad game design. Who's shocked? Number 6 is NPCs sliding in the ground. You're just fighting the NPCs, trying to level up, and zhoop, they're gone. Because, you know, why not? I wasn't fighting that guy anyway. This bug is infuriating when trying to level up, especially because it seems like certain specific moves trigger it, eye gouge especially. And the only way to free them from this fate is to stun them again or ragdoll them. Then they get back up, and you're back to business. Start beating them up, and they're in the floor again. Rinse, repeat, have it happen hundreds of times while trying to level your account. God damn it. Number 5 is on the same vein as the last one, and it's NPCs never respawning. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how this happened, but after one of the updates a few months back, they made it so that the NPCs just will not respawn if you're near them. Like, no joke, you can sit here for an hour and they won't come back. And the really, really strange part about this is mostly the fact that it's simultaneously a good thing and a bad thing. But at the end of the day, it's mostly a bad thing for most people. The reason I say it's a good thing is you can get the NPC to instantly respawn if you simply go far away from it. The catch is, it's not just limited to you. If there's anybody in the radius of this NPC, they will never respawn, which means trolls can sit here all day and you can never farm some of the NPCs. If anything, they should leave it the way it is right now, but make it so the NPCs also respawn after a set amount of time for people that want to wait. So it's good, but it's also bad. Number 4 is Road Roller Knockback. Yeah, I'll be honest, I have no idea how I left this out of my first one. How many times have you seen this kind of thing happen in game? Well, I've figured out why that happens, and it's because some absolute crackhead decided to put knockback on the mini hits that are part of the Road Roller. What do I mean by that? Well, just take a look. In this clip you're watching, I don't press any buttons outside of jump. No WASD, nothing. And despite that, I still fell out. In order to make Road Roller more reliable in the past, they made it so that there's a whole lot of stun, and the stun is very prevalent when you get hit by some of the hits of Road Roller. Unlike a lot of the other stuns in the game, Road Roller stun completely locks you in place, very similar to the time stop stun I was talking about earlier. The thing is, this stun doesn't mean a whole lot when all of the hits inside of the road roller have a ton of knockback on them, and it builds up, especially if you jump. This is why almost every single time when people dash away from your road roller, you hit them with the first hit, you hit them with a few of the middle hits, and then they fall out. Now, I complain about road roller all the time. I'm always telling them they should just turn it into a grab, make it a beatdown, whatever. But if they really want to band-aid it and they want to make it easy, they could probably just take away the knockback and the move would be so much better. I really think it's that easy. Will they though? No. Did you read the title of the video? Number 3 is yet another time stop bug. Knives stopping you in time stop. The explanation of this one is simple. If you hit someone with knives and then you stop time, their time stop resistance means nothing. This is because when you stick a knife into a person, it becomes an object, and then that object freezes and stops time, making it so that the player who's affected can't move at all. So, if you don't like time stop resistance and you have a knife stand, throw knives first, and they can't move, even if they block them. The best part about this is if they actually decided to fix this, they could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, because I'm 99% sure that the reason that knives don't work in time stop is also because knives stick into things. Knives sticking into things was a purely cosmetic change that potentially ruined an entire game mechanic and did ruin an entire other game mechanic. Knives sticking into things accomplishes literally nothing. All it does is break things, and it surely can't be that difficult to revert this strictly cosmetic game-breaking change. Getting down to the wire with number 2, which is King Crimson's Impale Standup invincibility. This is all kinds of whack, because it feels like it's completely random. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't understand it. But regardless, the way the impale mechanic works as of right now is incredibly stupid and makes no sense. So they pseudo-patched out the ability for you to impale and catch people while they're standing up with an eye gouge or another lingering stun. You technically cannot do that anymore. Now, how lag and latency plays into that factor, I couldn't tell you, because I've had a ton of scenarios where I've tested it on people holding block and they get hit anyway. I wish I had footage of it, but unfortunately I do not. Against myself, in the same house, it works fine. I can never time it properly because you can't, and you're not supposed to be able to. But the catch is that even if you can't catch people with a stun, you're still guaranteed a block-breaking hit like Jawbreaker, which is a 50-50 where you win no matter what. It either hits the person and you get a bunch of damage, or it block breaks them and you get a ton of damage. No matter what, you win off of Impale. Why Impale couldn't just be like every other knockdown in the game and give you a brief moment of invincibility so you don't get hit by an immediate follow-up, I have no idea. Do they think that King Crimson somehow isn't good enough? Because I can assure you that King Crimson would be perfectly fine without this. I've argued to the death with people, but you can combo eye gouge off of a chop, and you can get a chop off of an epitaph, which is stupid easy. And guess what? Impale combos off of eye gouge, which means if you get an epitaph, you can get a chop, an eye gouge, and an impale, which does a boatload of damage. Do we really need a 50-50 trade on top of that might just outright kill someone if they guess wrong? It's impractically stupid, and there's no reason for it to be here. Impale should have the same get-up frames as a heavy punch, and there's not much else to say here. And finally, number 1, is free spec storage, baby! Yeah, you knew it was coming. I don't know how I didn't put it in the last one, but of course free spec storage is the last thing on here. How could it not be the last thing on here? Spec storage has been locked to Game Pass since December 9th of 2020, which means that it's been over a year now that we have not seen free spec storage in the game. Currently unobtainable, currently unobtainable, currently unobtainable. This is fucking stupid. Like, seriously, guys, you're just gonna leave it totally pay to win for a year. I genuinely did not think it was possible, but here we are. And there you go. That's it. That's the 20 more things that YBA isn't going to fix. And you know what? If they fix one of these, I would be thoroughly impressed, because I complain nonstop on this channel. I showcase game-breaking stuff now, and they don't care, so I guess it's just not going anywhere? I don't know. Anyways, did you enjoy the video? Did you hate it? Are you pissed at me because I showed people Mr. President Vampire? You tell me in the comments. And while you're at it, tell me if I missed anything, because I can't believe I missed all this stuff on the first go around, and here we are on the second one, so surely I could not have missed that much stuff. I mean, there's so much here, so who knows? I mean, I could have missed a laundry list. I don't think I did. We'll find out. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, you can leave a like, subscribe. If you didn't, then don't. You can leave a dislike. I won't see it. YouTube took those away. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.